in line.
So Shannon, we okay?
Just give me 2 seconds. We're almost on Facebook.
Ready? Love technology.
Okay, go ahead, Eric.
Thank you, Shannon. Good morning, everybody. I hope you're doing well. We wanted to have a briefing this morning on a couple issues, bring you up to date on a couple things, and then see if you have any questions for the health departments about COVID or vaccines. So let me start off by just kind of our current case numbers. As of today, we have 39,706 confirmed cases, and unfortunately, we're still having those fatalities, and we have about 803. At this point in time, again, we've talked about this. We do have different variants of COVID-19 in our community than we had a couple months ago. As of the end of March, we knew that we had 11 UK variants that were tested for, and then 2 of the California variants. Why is this important? This could be a telling sign of, again, why we're seeing increased cases in our community. But also then too, we know that these variants are more infectious. And again, we continue to talk about what we need to do. We've talked about it for a long time now. Social distance still, wear your mask, wash your hands, keep them hand sanitized, and again, get vaccinated. But let's look at cases. And I think this is telling as well too. So far, confirmed the case trends. If you notice back in about the middle of March, you see our numbers. We were hovering around 50, let's say. And then towards the end of March, you saw us actually increase cases. Again, towards the beginning of April, we had a little bit of a downturn, which was good to see. And I was a little excited about this because, again, let's hope that we could actually see a downturn even further. Unfortunately, that over the last couple of weeks, you've seen us actually pop up into the 120, 127 cases per day. We're going to continue to monitor this. I'm thinking that some of this is the St. Patty's Day holiday, the Easter holiday. I think a little bit of this too are the variants, and also then too, I think the rise in cases of Michigan has just created this little bit of a storm here where we're starting to see increased cases. Again, this is why we just talked about this. This is why we still need to make sure we're doing those things to keep each other safe and get vaccinated. Vaccinations. We're doing pretty good. 153,203 vaccinated. We've already started here in Lucas County. 35.77% of the population has been vaccinated, at least with that first vaccination. Remember, we're trying to meet that magical number of 70% for that herd immunity, which again should give us some pretty good protection in the community. But at 35%, we're doing okay, but we need to increase that percentage up even more. And then how do we do that? Well, of course, it is getting vaccinated. And the vaccination process that we've been using has really given us those numbers. But the problem right now is we're starting to see a waning of individuals who are wanting to get the vaccinations. In other words, a couple of weeks ago, we would set up a schedule and it would immediately fill up, no matter how many slots were open. And we're not seeing that. So we definitely are seeing a tailing off, and we expect this. From my point of view, I think we're 2 weeks ahead of time where I thought it would be. But again, not having a crystal ball, we couldn't be exact on it. So what does that do for us? Well, first off, we still have to get people vaccinated. And if you go to gettheshot.coronavirus.ohio.gov, it'll get you to the link to get into one of our points of dispensing, one of our clinics for the vaccination. Again, it is really important if you can get into this link to do that. But we know things are changing, and the process that we have to use in this county as well as the state is going to be changing too, and has to. We'll have to move away from those mass vaccinations to more of a community-centered type of vaccination process. I term the mass vaccination phase 1. We're moving towards phase 2, where instead of thousands of doses possibly at one site, we'll have 100 to 500 doses someplace to be able then to give individuals those vaccines, and eventually moving that, if you would, that phase 3 where, you know, we're doing 1 or 2, 3 shots at a time, maybe at a doctor's office. So we'll be moving through these phases. But again, we got to make sure that we're getting people vaccinated, and that could be a barrier right now with having to actually sign up. So we are going to start walking clinics, at least from the health department's perspective. And our walk-in clinic at the rec center, again, will be, the first one will be Friday, April 15th. We're going to be doing Pfizer. Please remember, Pfizer is the one that if you're a 16 or 17-year-old or a parent of a 16 or 17-year-old, this is what the vaccine is. Excuse me, this is the vaccine that you want and can only have, because the other vaccines out there are for 18 plus. So again, walk up Friday, April 15th. Saturday, April 16th is our Moderna. Again, please remember 18 plus for that vaccine. We're going to be running that clinic from 9 a.m. to 3 at the rec center. Please, 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 for those who are under 18, make sure that you're with your parent or a legal guardian. We'll have you sign a consent form and then go ahead and get you vaccinated. So again, if you're under 18, you're going to need a parent or guardian with you to be able to get the vaccination. Where does that take us? So that's the rec center, but I said that we're going to have to move into a different format for vaccinations, and we are. We're going to be starting here at the health department, where we are going to be offering a walk-in clinic. Starts Monday, April 19th. And if you don't know where we're at 635 North Erie Street. We're going to be running that clinic from Monday through Friday from 9 a.m. to 4 p.m. We're going to be offering Pfizer and our Moderna vaccine. It's going to be dependent, of course, on the age, but also on our supply. So it could change, and we'll try to keep you abreast of what vaccine is going to be available on a daily basis. I would suspect, at least to start, we're going to see mainly Pfizer. What else do we need to do in our community? Well, we've been talking about homebound individuals. So how are we going to tackle that problem? Well, a couple ways we're going to be doing that. First off, I want to talk about our call center. Our local call center, we're setting one up at the health department. We're going to be able to look at scheduling, canceling, or COVID-19 vaccination info. We're going to be offering translation interpretation services as well through that call center. That call center, we're going to try to operate that Monday through Friday, 8 a.m. to 4:30 p.m. And if you could use this number, please, 419-213-4100, option 1, 419-213-4100, option 1. That will go ahead and get you to that call center. So what is that going to do for us? A couple things. One, we definitely know that the community is going to be needing additional information now that we've moved into another type of a vaccination process, at least the clinic and pod. So we're definitely dedicated to providing that vaccine access to those who are unable to leave their home as well too. And so those are those homebound individuals. And, you know, we do have a listing of homebound, but we do believe that we don't have everybody captured there. So what we would like to do, if you're truly a homebound individual, or you have a loved one or a friend who's a homebound individual, please use that same call center, 419-213-4100, option 1. And we're going to ask you a couple questions. They're simple questions, just so that we can accommodate you. And that loved one who is homebound. So those homebound individuals, we'll go ahead and get you on a list. ProMedica and Mercy have both said that they're willing to help us with this. And so again, we can't thank them enough for being a partner in this homebound process, but also everything that they've been able to do for us over the last year and a half. It's been amazing. Thank you so much. Where does this take us next? You heard from possibly the governor over the last week or so, talking about a number of different issues and how we are transitioning into something a little bit different. And I know we've talked about this before, and I know there's probably been some surveys out there, but what we want to do is really start canvassing our business organizations that have not either signed up with a provider, or have some organizations already have been vaccinated through a closed pods concept. So we're encouraging all businesses and organizations that can or want to host an on-site vaccination clinic to do so. But we need to figure out who that is. Because again, like I said, there's been several of our organizations in our community that have gotten vaccinations through a closed pod concept. So those services will be provided on site regardless of the number of being vaccinated. We do really want to know who is interested in this. There are some smaller businesses that only have 10 individuals, 5 individuals. Please, if you want us to try to come out and do your employees, we'll figure out how to do that, or connect you with another organization that we can then vaccinate. It's more convenient for employees, family members, affiliated individuals. Again, we would really like to be able to open up to those individuals, family members that may have not been vaccinated yet. So we can talk about that and that process with that business organization. Quick and an easy interest form to gather information. That's what we're trying to do here. So the form is available. If you could go ahead and for a business organization, lucascountyhealth.com/COVID vaccine. But you can also use that hotline number too. But we would, if you could, please use that link, because you can imagine how that call center number is probably going to be busy over the next week or so with trying to get something scheduled for the community. So that is the update. Just to review real quick, we are going to be starting to take walk-ins, and that will increase over the next weeks to make sure that we are capturing as many people and knocking down as many barriers as we can to the vaccine. Homebound individuals, we do have a list, but I do believe that the list is a little light. So we definitely want to capture those. And please make sure that if they are homebound, that you get a hold of us and we'll figure out how to get them vaccinated. And last but not least, again, just recapping that business and organization, we really do want to know, no matter the size, whether it's 2 or 2,002 individuals at a business organization that could offer or host a closed pod for their facility, please let us know. Let's talk and figure out how we can get the vaccine out to you. With that said, I'd like to open it up for questions, Shannon.
Sure. Okay, Eric, your first question's coming from Sophia with Channel 24. Go ahead, Sophia.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yeah, Sophia, I can.
Okay, awesome. So you kind of mentioned that vaccines kind of might start to slow down. And I think from what it seems, everyone who wanted a vaccine obviously jumped at the chance to get it. You mentioned slots filling up within minutes of announcing appointments.
Yes.
But now we're at that 35% mark. How do you go from here, like encouraging people who know they don't want the vaccine? How do you encourage them to get it? Because, you know, we might stay at this percentage or hover around it for a while, but there might come a time where we hit a wall.
Yeah, that is a great question, and we call that hesitancy. And that hesitancy we know is going to be there throughout the process, even at the start to the very finish of when we're done with vaccinating individuals. So those individuals that we see, that 35%, those are the individuals that we knew we were going to get. Those are the ones that really wanted to get vaccinated. They didn't care about having to get on a link or try for hours on end to try to get a schedule. Those individuals really were energized to get their vaccine or their vaccination. But we know that there's other individuals who do want to get vaccinated, but there's barriers. And those barriers, we're going to try to knock those down even further. So that's why we're offering walk-ins. We're trying to make sure that, again, we have access that is much easier to get the vaccination. So hopefully we're going to capture, I don't know, another 10% of the community through that 15%. We don't know. But again, it is about messaging. The idea here is to make sure the community truly understands, and I think you've seen it from the graphs, and hopefully the community does look at those, that we are seeing increased cases. And we know that these variants and the cases that we have right now are infecting younger individuals. We went from the upper 40s ages who were getting infected and showing up at the hospitals at that average age. Now we're down to 35, 36-year-olds. So we do see that coming down. And I hearken that. Why is that? I hearken that back to getting vaccinated. So the message still is, the more people get vaccinated, we can push that average age group down to then finally not have an issue with COVID. Again, that at least that's here in Ohio, because we start off with the older individuals, and we've been working our way down. it's all about messaging, and we're going to try our best to make sure that we get as many people vaccinated before the summertime as possible.
Okay, Amy with Channel 11, please go ahead and ask your question.
Hello. So now that we have these walk-in clinics, talk to me a little bit about how many doses you guys have available for this coming weekend. And then I guess, is there still an option to make an appointment? Just because we've been seeing, lines around the country and people want to avoid that. Is that something you guys are expecting?
I'm not expecting those huge lines that we've seen across the country, because again, we have a goodly amount of individuals vaccinated in our community already. However, if you can utilize that registration, that VMS registration, it's going to make it much easier for not only the person getting vaccinated, but us to be able to get you in, get you through. But remember, with a walk-in, you're going to have to come in, we're going to have to register, we're going to have to go through the process that is just like on the registration, the VMS registration that we're using right now, and then get you vaccinated. So it is going to take you longer if you're walking, but again, we're not expecting, hours and hours of wait at our walk-in sites. I will tell you this, I think you've seen this throughout this entire process. If we have an issue or we have a problem or something's not working quite right, we're going to change that immediately. To make sure that it is much easier for our community to get vaccinated, no matter who you are. So again, just if you can register, please do. If not, we will take care of you.
And do you know how many doses are available this weekend?
Yeah, there's several thousand vaccines that we have on hand. Right now for next week, we're going to have well over 10,000 vaccines to be administered to the community. I think it's going to be close to 15,000. I don't have that exact number quite yet. We'll have a better handle on that over the weekend. So the question was asked to me the other day, and I think this stems from your question, is that do we have enough of vaccine? Do we have enough vaccines to vaccinate everybody that wants to be vaccinated? Yes, we do. We're not going to run out of vaccine. We're actually probably anticipating come the middle to end of May to even have additional vaccines on the market through Pfizer and Moderna, because they'll increase their productivity. So there is no concern with vaccine supply at this point in time.
All right, your next question is from Caitlin with The Blade. Please go ahead.
Hey, Eric, we've talked about a slackening in vaccine uptake. Wondering if you can give us some quantitative numbers about what that means. Are we ending the week with half of our vaccines being unused?
Well, that's a good question, because we had J&J available. So I would say, yeah, let's just go with that. I don't have an exact number, but just off the top of my head, I would say probably we'll use about half of our vaccines by the end of the week. Don't forget now too, we are starting to do schools this week for those 16 and 17-year-olds within our school systems in Lucas County. And we're pretty excited about that. So we've kind of earmarked doses for them as well too, because we can only use Pfizer for them. So we're going to be able to, again, vaccinate the end of this week as well as into next week, our schools.
And then a quick follow-up question. Wondering if you've noticed an immediate impact of the J&J vaccines pause, like causing more hesitancy.
I can reach back into the other day when we did have to, I guess, pull our J&J for our mass vaccination clinic. We had 800 scheduled, and I do believe we had at the very end, I think 600 doses given. So again, if we're looking at hesitancy, people still came in and got their vaccine, even though it wasn't Johnson & Johnson. I think we're gonna. What I'd like to do is take the next week or so to really look at the pods and clinics that we're running and see really if there are telltale signs of hesitancy.
All right, Melissa with Channel 13, please go ahead and ask your question.
Yeah, hi, Eric. A couple quick questions. First of all, I mean, we are seeing our cases go up, yet our the hesitancy to get vaccines is, or the willingness to get vaccines is going down. It feels like these numbers are in conflict with one another. How concerned are you about this particular situation?
when we have the cases like we're seeing right now of COVID in our community, it is concerning. It truly is, because again, we are looking at this disease affecting younger individuals. We know that the vaccine does support protection against COVID, about getting it, as well as allowing somebody else to get it from you. So that is a concern. If these numbers are higher than I really wanted at this point in time, I expected us to have 40 or 50 cases a day, maybe down to 25. Unfortunately, we've seen this uptick, and we really need to make sure, again, the community understands we're not out of this yet. You need to get vaccinated. You need to take precautions to make sure that we don't spread this, and do everything we possibly can. I will say this, Melissa, is that I'm not seeing the 200, 300 cases a day on a consistent basis like we were seeing a couple months ago. So that is a positive, but we're still seeing still seeing over 100 cases a day on several of our days, which again should give everybody a little bit of pause.
Okay, the other question I have is about our proximity to Michigan and the fact that, we are so close. People are coming down from Michigan to get their vaccines. How much of a factor is it that we are right on the border with Michigan that's seeing record numbers in their area of COVID?
As I stated before, and I'll continue to state it, the COVID knows no border, it knows no line on a map. It's going to cross wherever it can, by any means that it can. And so we have Michigan individuals with a very high incident rate up there. They come down here, and they do travel, and we travel up there. So it's a great mixing vessel for COVID-19. So that is a concern. I think, we look back over the last couple of months when, we've had Michigan individuals come down and get vaccinated. Maybe back then we were like, geez, what's going to happen here? They're taking all our vaccines, or they're taking a number of vaccines. Well, now we should look at it as well. That was some good foresight of individuals being able to come down here and get vaccinated, because again, we build that dam, we build that wall against COVID by having individuals on the other side of the border be vaccinated. I just wish Michigan would, do what we're doing down here and really get people vaccinated and have that ability for them.
Okay, thank you.
Sure.
All right, the last question is from Sophia. Go ahead with your question.
I thought of one more, sorry. But so on Tuesday with the Johnson & Johnson announcement, I think at that point we expected the pause to only last a few days. And of course, out of the meeting yesterday, we learned that it's going to be another 7 to 10 days until we know if this vaccine is going to get pulled forever, if they're only going to administer it to men. We kind of learned more, but now we're waiting another 7 to 10 days to hear that final answer. And I know you said we have enough between Pfizer and Moderna right now, but with this extended timeline, having J&J paused, how could this affect things moving forward?
It affects our planning. I will tell you that, because the J&J, and I've said this is another tool to be able to use. You have Moderna, you have Pfizer, their specific tools as vaccines, and then we have the J&J. It has components and abilities that the other ones don't, but when you use them as more of a team effort to go out and vaccinate the community, it makes our jobs a lot easier to be able to get vaccine to certain populations at certain times. So that definitely is a concern for us. So we need to shift back around and go with our original plan of Moderna and Pfizer until we can hopefully use Johnson & Johnson here again, however we use it, into the community. We're definitely going to have the vaccine available. We'll make sure that we get it out in the community. So again, there is no concern about the amount of vaccine getting in the community. It's just, now we have to kind of take a step back and go back to the old way of thinking of how we're going to vaccinate homebound individuals possibly, or, individuals that we know probably won't show back up for their second dose. And that's tough, because we do want to make sure that we get that second dose into individuals. So it definitely is a planning concern.
Thank you. And
Sure.
You mentioned a percentage of people not returning for their second dose. How common is that happening?
It's more common than we want. It's difficult. It truly is to be able to make sure that that second dose gets into somebody's arm when they don't return to that original appointment that they had scheduled with us for that second dose. I can't give you a great number right now. I think 2 weeks ago we were up around a couple hundred individuals who were seeking a second dose. So we're going to make sure that we have some mechanism to get everybody their second dose. The unfortunate thing is that it's not on that same time frame that we would like to have individuals get that second dose. Because again, remember, that second dose starts that full immunity process. After 14 days, you are fully immune relative to the vaccine that you've gotten. And that's important for our community. It's important for the individual and their families too.
Thank you.
Sure, thank you.
Eric, we do have another question.
That's fine, go ahead.
Yep, Andrew with Channel 11 would like to ask a question.
Thanks, Shannon. Hi, Eric.
Hey.
My question has to do with the mask mandate. Ever since the governor sort of laid out his 50 cases per 100,000, lift the mask mandate for everyone, cases have been going in the wrong direction. If that trend continues, it seems more likely the state mask mandate will be lifted by the state lawmakers, regardless of where the case numbers are. If that were to happen, has there been any discussion about issuing a localized mask mandate if the state one goes away, but cases are still higher than we want?
We haven't had that discussion here in Lucas County. I don't believe many of my counterparts, either in other communities have, or the counties, excuse me, have. I'll ask that question on our weekly call tomorrow if anybody has actually approached that concept. Yeah, I'm really hoping, even let's just say that somehow the mask mandate is lifted and we're still several hundred cases. I would hope that we would continue as a community to know that that is a very effective way to help stop the spread of COVID. Now, people would say, well, we still have cases, but we're wearing masks. Yes, but not everybody wears masks all the time. There are certain conditions where, again, even if you're wearing a mask, does not provide a great amount of protection depending on the other person wearing a mask. We went through all this already, but we do know that the mask does help us combat, coupled with the other mitigation strategies, combat COVID in our community.
All right, thank you.
Sure.
All right, that is it for our questions.
All right, thank you, everybody. Have a great day.